here's my honest, detailed Bose QuietComfort Ultra 2nd Gen versus Sony WH-1000XM6 comparison, and which is better. And spoiler alert, one of these headphones beats the other one so bad that we actually had to adjust its scores and subtract several points. By the end of this video, you'll know which one's right for you. Hey there, if you're new to recordingnow.com, we purchase every single product we review on a mission to build one of the largest databases of honest headphone and wireless earbud reviews, detailed head-to-head comparisons, and overall rankings to help you make a more informed purchase. I use my background in pro audio to create custom EQ settings for all of these headphones to get the most sound quality potential out of them. To access those, visit the full blog post in the video description or in a pinned comment below, or visit recordingnow.com, use the chat bot in the bottom right, type in the model name plus EQ. Alright, so these are two of the most popular wireless noise cancelling headphones available in 2025 that are brand new for this year. I have extensive experience with both of these headphones, and I can tell you that we have one clear winner by the end of this video. So starting with the category of comfort, both of these are two of the lighter headphones in the class, with the Sony XM6 actually weighing 9 grams lighter at 253 grams compared to 262 of the QC Ultra 2nd Gen, but that is not a difference you're going to feel on the head. Where you're going to feel the most difference is going to be the small ear cup space inside of the XM6, where my ears are pressing against the fabric here. This is a complaint I've read many times in comments. In addition to that, the clamping force out of the factory was much stronger for the XM6 over the QC Ultras. Now, that clamping force did loosen up considerably after about 1 month of consistent wear, but still not as minimal as the QC Ultra. So those are my two reasons that the XM6 is not a perfect comfort headphone despite being lighter, whereas the QC Ultra has plenty of ear cup space, so my ears are free inside of these ear cups with plusher cushioning on the ear pads and the headband itself. Overall, the QC Ultra 2nd Gen gets a perfect 5 out of 5, while the Sony XM6 receives a 4.5 out of 5, and potentially for some could be as low as a 4.0 out of 5 for comfort. So moving on to features, battery life, build quality, and noise cancelling performance, which we combine into a single score, these are going to be relatively tied when it comes to the features. One thing I do want to quickly compare here is the size of their included hardshell cases. Both of these are on the more compact side compared to the average or larger size cases for the class, but I think the QC Ultra is still slightly smaller compared to the XM6. Alright, so battery life is rated at 30 hours with noise cancelling on for both of these headphones. This is actually 6 hours more than the Gen 1 QC Ultra, but I believe that the XM6 can go up to 40 hours with noise cancelling off, which is a slight advantage. Moving on to build quality, the Bose QC Ultra is clearly the more premium headphone from a visual and from a material standpoint, utilizing metal in the headband and for the hinges here. In addition to a more premium looking and feeling leather compared to the clearly pleather that's simply not as plush or nice to the touch on the earpad cushions, and even the headband itself doesn't really have much cushioning. When it comes to the hinges on the XM6, they did improve this over the XM5, which was known for having that broken hinge issue, by implementing this metal piece here. That said, I would still much prefer the entire construction to be made out of metal compared to the largely plastic XM6. So build quality goes to the QC Ultra, although neither of these headphones is as premium as the AirPods Max, which is also slightly more expensive. Now let's talk about the noise cancelling performance, which is probably the second highest priority right behind sound quality, or maybe number one for many people. Simply put, Bose and Sony are the two elite options when it comes to noise cancelling performance as a whole. The 2nd Gen only improves upon the 1st Gen, resulting in a little more consistency with less quirks and side effects. But when it comes to the pure effectiveness and the strength of the noise cancelling, these are two of the easiest, safest options, along with something like the AirPods Max and the Sonos Ace. Simply put, noise cancelling is not going to be a difference maker or a disappointment with either of these choices. So overall, for features, battery life, build quality, noise cancelling performance, both of these actually receive a perfect 5 out of 5. I genuinely think that the noise cancelling performance being the best in the class is enough to warrant a perfect score here. Alright, so moving on to sound quality, and this is where things get really interesting, especially when performing this back-to-back comparison, listening to both of them. Stock for stock, no contest, I think that the Bose QuietComfort Ultra 2nd Gen sounds better from both a hardware perspective and a sound profile / tuning perspective over the XM6. Prior to this comparison, I actually had both of these in the same range of sound quality competing with each other, but after listening back to back, I was surprised how big of a gap there was with the new 2nd gen QC Ultra versus the XM6. So I mentioned that I'm clearly hearing better hardware in the Bose, and what that translates to is better separation and layering, and honestly all of the audiophile technicalities like having just higher fidelity, better resolution, clarity, and details in addition to a bigger, larger soundstage was honestly a bigger gap in sound quality versus the XM6 than I was initially expecting. In comparison, the XM6 just sounds flat, dull, with boxy vocals, and just muddier as a whole. Where the QC Ultra 2 shines is its mids, which are richer, fuller, with more detail and a more accurate timbre. And to just put things into perspective, I actually tested the QC Ultra 2 while I was testing the much more expensive Bowers & Wilkins PXA S2, which is an excellent headphone, arguably the best wireless headphone we've tested for sound quality. And it would surprise you that the QC Ultra 2 was not far behind, especially when it comes to that very pleasing musical sound profile and those rich, full mids. Overall, the Bose simply has better dynamics, whereas everything is fairly flat and compressed in the XM6 when comparing back to back. Now, I will say there's one saving grace for the XM6, and that's going to be a combination of its very excellent cinema mode, which is a feature that they just added to the QC Ultra 2nd gen versus the 1st gen, and the 10-band EQ as opposed to the 3-band EQ on the Bose. Now, these two reasons are actually why I was pretty excited about the XM6 when it was first introduced and when I first gave my initial review. And in defense of the XM6, I still find that its cinema mode is the best spatial audio implementation for non-music listening. So if we're talking about watching movies, TV shows, podcasts, or just watching YouTube, I have not found a better wireless headphone for consuming non-music media than the XM6 still to this day. That said, for the Bose, simply put, it doesn't need as much EQ to be enjoyable as the XM6, and as someone who's made, I think, 3 EQ settings for the XM6, it needs a lot of tinkering to make it enjoyable for music listening in my experience, whereas the Bose QC Ultra 2 sounds great out of the box and slightly better utilizing that 3-band EQ that is less versatile, but it is effective enough because the hardware is superior on the QC Ultra. So overall, for sound quality, this is where we actually had to make some changes to the scores because of how big of a gap there was. The QC Ultra 2 receives a 9.1 out of 10, whereas the Sony XM6 has now been dropped from a 9.0 out of 10 down to an 8.7 out of 10. And really what I think keeps the XM6 competitive is going to be that 10-band EQ that's very flexible, combined with that very excellent cinema mode, which still makes the XM6 my choice for consuming movies, TV shows, and even watching YouTube. So depending how important that is to you, that's going to be more of a factor or less. Alright, so moving on to value. Both of these headphones are retailing at $449, which is pretty much the exact same price. I firmly believe that these are two of the best all-arounders. I know that in a couple categories like comfort and sound quality, the QC Ultra 2 is clearly the superior choice. But in the grand scheme of things, having reviewed over 30 plus wireless noise cancelling headphones, the XM6 is still right up there as one of the best all-arounders on account of its noise cancelling performance, its lightweight, and its sound quality is competitive with most of the headphones in its price range, with the caveat that you have to apply EQ, and the cinema mode also makes up as well. So overall, when it comes to value, because these two are still a pricey headphone, but two of the best all-arounders in the market currently, I give both of them a 4.0 out of 5. I think there is an argument that the QC Ultra 2 is a better value because of winning in certain categories, but at $450, I still find both of these headphones are fairly priced, all things considered. So overall, the QC Ultra 2 receives a 9.2 out of 10, whereas the Sony XM6 has now been reduced slightly to an 8.9 out of 10. So overall, my final thoughts are I was really surprised that this comparison had more of a gap than I was expecting coming into it, especially looking at this comparison on paper. But once you actually listen to both of these headphones back to back, and specifically for music listening, I was surprised by how much better the QC Ultra 2 was in comparison to the XM6. Now, if you enjoyed this video and you found it useful, please take a moment to hit the thumbs up button and leave a comment below. It really helps out our small channel to grow. If you have any questions about either of these headphones or any of the headphones on the website, also leave it in the comments. I try to get back to as many people as possible. If you want to support our mission further, because it is not cheap buying all of these headphones full price, consider using our Amazon affiliate links in the video description or in a pinned comment below when making your next Amazon purchase. It really makes a big difference to help us keep self-funding this mission and staying independent. If you're liking this content, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell, because we have a ton more content on the way this year, as we hope to become a trusted resource that you can rely on for honest, unbiased reviews. If you want to keep watching, I'm going to link a relevant video and playlist right here to help you make a more informed purchase. Thanks for watching and happy listening.